You've stumbled into a show. That other show that you've been watching ended on a cliffhanger, and it's not streaming anywhere. So since you can't get your favorite show, why don't you stick around? Stick around for them genetically engineered bats on the loose in Texas, LDP laying down the law on some mad scientists, and Jamie Lee Curtis exploring her imaginary PTSD in yet another Halloween movie. Somebody start the show!
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers Podcast.
Home video headlines. What's happening? What's crappening? What's stirring and what's streaming in the world of TV and movies and everything else entertainment? Well, you know the bad guy with the heart of gold? You must mean Michael Madsen. Well, we lost the dad from... Oh, she is calling, so I guess I'll... Alright, what I was saying was, if you imagine, when you think about the bad guy with a heart of gold in all these movies, you know, you're probably thinking of Michael Madsen. He's the dad from Free Willy. We lost him. But not surprisingly, most millennial bloggers are saying that's how they remember him. You know, they don't think about all the funny, edgy outlaws that he's played. They think of him as the dad from Free Willy. Hey, did you hear about this? There's a tire show on Netflix, and it's got that comedian, what is his name? Shane Gillis, right? The thing about him is, he's actually all-inclusive. People rag on him and say that he's borderline over the line with a lot of his stuff, but actually, he's very inclusive. All his jokes make fun of everybody equally, which is kind of put him in that boat instead of a different boat that you're thinking he's in. Anyway, yeah, so they had 2 seasons of this show. It's about a bunch of, regular dudes and dudettes working in a tire shop. And it actually focuses, Shane's in there, but he plays a supporting character. His buddy plays the main character, who's the manager running the freaking tire store. It's pretty funny. One of the more funny things on Netflix. Check it out. They're getting a 3rd season greenlit. I am worried about one thing about it, and it's that it'll become super popular, and it'll just flood with celebrity cameos every time they increase the budget for the seasons. I hope they just concentrate on the comedians that are playing characters at the tire shop, which they mostly are. 70 or 80% of the story is centered around the tire shop. Sorry if you're hearing road racing noise in the back. Yeah, as I said before, we're down here by the water. People got their boats jamming in and their freaking off-road things, and we recently had, it's like a weekend, so they're going nuts. Anyway, all right. Then the Bears renewed for season 5. It should have ended with season 4. I mean, it had kind of a conclusion to its ongoing story. I don't know what the final nail on the coffin for that show is going to be. I know that's negative, right? People love the show, and I'm like, but again, I just said I was worried that Tires was going to get so popular it filled with unnecessary celebrity cameos, and the Bears been crushing that for like 3 seasons. I mean, the first season was about, a family dealing with loss while also trying to run a sandwich shop, and then the son sees a executive chef, so he's like, let's up the ante here and change the shop into a bistro, then a restaurant, etc., etc. And it was them dealing with their problems while making these great beef sandwiches, right? And trying to elevate the plate. But then, as the seasons went on, I was like, oh, this celebrity's also a cousin, and this celebrity's a cousin, and this celebrity's a cousin, and throw this one in, and throw that one in, and throw that one in. And actually, this show, with Jamie Lee Curtis in it, I know at the top of the hour I mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's in one of the movies we're talking about tonight. However, growing up, watching her in horror movies and comedies, and she was always in the actors that I liked, or the performers that I liked in movies, and then I got to a point with The Bear where I'm just like, I'm so sick of her now. And it's mostly her character in The Bear that rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, watch it for yourself, make your own judgment call. That's what's going on. Trivia time, formerly called Savage Stats. Tonight's movie, what's the movie of the week? I might just call this section Tonight's Movie. Because for me, I always say that usually during this segment, and like, it might as well just be called what it is. Genetically mutated bats escape, and it's up to a bat expert and the local sheriff to stop them. In Bats. B-A-T-S is the title of this movie. All right, Lou Diamond Phillips, you probably know him from La Bamba, Longmire, Young Guns. Let me quickly recap my favorites from LDP. Young Guns as Chavez. I like him in The First Power as Detective Logan. I like him as Cisco in The Big Hit. And here are some that you should watch that are lesser known appearances. The Night Stalker TV movie. A movie called Route 666. That's a zombie one. How about Aquabat Super Show, where he plays the face of the sun or the voice in the sun? There's a talking sun at one point. I think it comes on during the hamburger song in one of the episodes. I mean, correct me on that, trivia if I'm wrong, but if you haven't seen Aquabat Super Show, you gotta dig that up too. Where are we at? Oh, it's got Dana Meyer, whatever. Her whole career seems to be like sci-fi. If you don't know her from Starship Troopers, you probably know her from Saw. She's in the Saw movies as Carrie. The comic relief, the tech assistant to Lady Bats here, is played by Jimmy Sands. That dude's from Cool Runnings and a movie called Above the Rim. Have you seen that? Do you remember that movie? Anyway. And recently he was in The Chi, Chi-Town, Chicago, but they just call it The Chi. And then the mad scientist in the movie is Bob Gunton, who you might recognize as the awful warden from Shawshank Redemption. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to name his whole catalog. Moving on. We'll be right back from our favorite bits from Bats. Our favorite Bat moments. Our favorite Bat, even. I'll mention that one. Right after the messages. Nice messages. What's going on? Let's see. What should I tell you about? In the Johnny Spoiler links in my little social tree there, you can grab our affiliate link to try 30 days. Yeah, it's a whole month of cramming in all the goods on Hulu. So if you haven't tried Hulu or you're going to reset it and you're like, you know what, I'm going back to the free plan, grab our link. Here's how you do it. You don't want the workaround because you're like, oh, I already had the free trial and it ran out. You're right, make a new email. You can probably use the same credit card on file. I'm not sure how the billing works. Click it, forget it, sign up 30 days free, watch Hulu. What's going on right now? Well, they're about to drop the new season of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'll be tuning in. Obviously, I mentioned The Bear. The Bear's on Hulu. What else is on there? I mean, every year they do Huluween. I know it's the summer, but we're crushing horror movies all the time. I got horror movies on the brain. So they got a pretty good catalog on there. If you're like, I want to go back and watch all the American Story nonsense, that's on there. Yeah, whatever, man. It's like the whole... Oh, you know what? The Predator movies. If you're like, you're down for that. They just made a new animated one. And so all that stuff's on there. You can go and watch all the old Predator Alien movies and check out the... What is it called? Think Like a Killer or Kills Just... I already forgot. I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago. But yeah, now there's an animated Alien Predator movie or whatever. Anyway. All right. And let's see. Oh, Ride One Up e-bikes. They got a summer blowout deal happening. Grab our little link and go see what they're doing for summer promos on the e-bikes that they got. You want to get into shape or just ride around or cruise around town, look like a cool guy, or annoy the locals if you're visiting some city and you Airbnb and you need an e-bike. Go see what Ride One Up is doing. All right. Yeah, act like a entitled refugee on an e-bike. That's a weird category to just imagine in my head as a cartoon character, Anyway, all right. I said refugee because you're not a local if you're a tourist. That's what I'm talking about. All right, anyway. E-bikes. All right. Now back to the show already in progress. After these messages, we already did that. So here we go. Favorite bits from the movie Bats. Because bit and bat are almost the same word, so I'm just like, it's favorite bits from the movie Bats. All right. I love the scene in which the Bats corner the deputy in, like, the arcade bar. It reminds me of, like, a scene from Gremlins or something like that. I like how they keep featuring, like, the two main bats, the mom and daddy bat. Like, they escape from the lab, right? So they keep showing the host bats as if they're, like, self-aware. and actually plotting, which I think is a nice touch. They keep cutting to close-ups of these two bats, and they're seeing what the humans are doing to try to take out the bats, and they're looking at them, and they're plotting, they're moving the bats around, and they always linger when the other bats are gone, and then they fly away. Anyway. I did think it, however, even though I just appreciated the bats for being extra smart because they're engineered from the laboratory, I thought it was stupid that the bats climbed into the car muffler and the engine block. At one point, the sheriff and the bat lady are trapped in his truck, and the bats are coming in by any way possible. They're having a hard time breaking the glass. They start to break the glass. Obviously, we're going to up the ante of the suspense. They're slowly going to break through the windows, but they're crawling through the muffler. They're in the engine block. They're coming through the air conditioner. And now that was a little much for me because I don't think even super highly intelligent plotting revenge bats would want to crawl through an engine block. Anyway, all right. That just doesn't seem like bat behavior to me. And I'm not even a bat expert. I'm just a guy with a freaking microphone on a show talking about a movie bat with a movie filled with bats. Okay. I remember watching this movie on the SYFY Channel, and they aired it, and I really liked it at the time. I don't know if I was paying taxes or doing some work on the computer, doing some research or something. I was doing above the hand stuff, okay? My hands weren't below the belt. It wasn't OnlyFansing. I was actually doing work on the computer. It was playing in the background. I was paying attention to it because it piqued my interest, caught my eye, so to speak, on the SYFY Channel watching bats. I like the pacing the most. I mean, it gets going, keeps going until it's gone. And I was reading that the movie came out in October of 1999. It was being marketed and edited in September of 1999, and it was shot in the summer of 1999. So the whole movie process was 5 or 6 months total. I mean, that's the way to execute a movie. It's not exactly SYFY Channel do 2 weeks and here's a few $100,000, go make a robotic shark monster ape movie in a tornado. No, this is you got 5 months, bang it out, write it, edit it, get it to market. I mean, they were saying that the movie trailer didn't have any clips from the movie when they put the bumpers in theaters on other movies that were out at the time because they had no footage yet. They had no dailies out because they were shooting the movie and then editing it, locking it down, then putting it out there. All right. We have a rating system on this show. It goes like this: binge now, binge later, binge never, watch it now, get around to it, or never watch it. Waste of time, can't get your time back, can't get your life back, nothing. During the summertime, when we're doing Summer Slash, and this is Summer Slash 7, I'll tell you why the 7. It's the 7th year, the 7th time around. We're talking about the sequels, the 7th entry in some popular horror franchises. We'll get into that next as part of our staff pick segment. But, so, instead of saying binge now, binge later, binge never, sometimes during the horror movie stuff, we go scream now, scream later, scream never. This actually would be a binge later, scream later for me. Now that I think about it, I go into it's contained and cheesy. You got the bat puppetry. Binge later. The popularity of it has dimmed for me a little bit. I did want to look up what does a real bat expert say about this movie. I found an article from the time that it came out, and this is what this guy was saying. The negative perceptions that people traditionally carry are one of bats' chief threats, said Dr. Gary McCracken, professor in the University of Tennessee Knoxville Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. This is a horror movie that exploits the public's lack of knowledge about the creatures. He goes on to say, there's no such thing as a vampire bat. The movie distributor is just building hype. They know it's a low-grade movie, said McCracken. He viewed the website promoting the movie, and he said, bats are killed even when they offer nothing but benefits to humans, he said. Anyway, that's it. That's what a real bat expert said. Negative perceptions. Okay, there you go. Fan service. If the fans are chiming in, what are they squawking about? All right. Recently, I mentioned some of the Friday the 13th IP stuff, and Edge662 wanted to remind me there was also a Friday the 13th TV show. Yes, but I excluded it from that discussion on purpose because it was an anthology show set in a haunted pawn shop or a pawn shop with haunted items or some secondhand shop that also dealt in mysteries. But I'm pretty sure they couldn't use Jason in the show, and that's why Jason wasn't in that show. And then, like, when that show came around, I think it's the same time they were doing the Poltergeist anthology show. So I'm wondering if the shows were kind of like having a little competition in the TV ratings. I'm not sure. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they didn't come out at the same time, but they feel like the same show. There's a Poltergeist anthology show that has nothing to do with the family from Poltergeist. It's just paranormal investigators, and they have like a monster of the week or ghost of the week or whatever. But then there's like supposed to be an Uber ghost going. I digress. I'm pulling these shows out from memory. Again, I know if you go back and watch, like, they used to air, like, in the middle of the night, the Swamp Thing show with the Friday the 13th show on USA, which included some of the SYFY Channel stuff, because, like, USA Network, same stuff. And so I feel like Friday the 13th show and Poltergeist, the TV show, were out at the same time. But, yeah, it's definitely, like, set in, like, what seems like a pawn shop or, like, a thrift store or something in that show. Or it could be, like I said, like a haunted pawn shop. Anyway, you'd have to look that up. But I didn't like the show. I thought it was awful, and it had nothing to do with Crystal Lake. So what's the point? All right. They were just like capitalizing on the name, you know? Anyway. Plus, if you're like, I've seen the camp blood slasher movies with Jason, and I want to see, that's what you turn on Friday the 13th show, and you're not getting that. Phew. Not meeting expectations of the audience, are they? Anyway, all right. Staff picks H20 Halloween 20 years later. All right. Now, the original Halloween continuity goes Halloween, Halloween 2, then it skips to Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6. Now referred to lovingly as the Thorn universe. Then there's the Halloween 3, which is a standalone movie without Michael Myers. And then Rob Zombie has his Halloween redo 1 and 2. Then you get Halloween from, David Gordon Green in a universe I like to call Corey's World. It's got the original Halloween, then skips over to Halloween 2018, and then Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Yeah, it's a little confusing. You go from the original Halloween to another movie immediately called Halloween, and then the other ones have subtitles, which is good. But that's, like I said, the Corey universe. Yeah, I mean, there's 4 different Halloween universes, so you might as well say it's a multiverse of Halloween movies. And that's the way to go with this stuff, I think. Like, have Michael Myers jump through the different Haddonfield dimensions, and that's what I would pitch to the money guys if they were doing the TV show, like they were talking about. Like, the money changers on this IEP, let it have all happened, and then create like a Michael Myers Prime. Now, H20, it has a splash of Kevin Williamson in it and Scream-style vibes. You got LL Cool J in the supporting cast trying to stay alive long enough to publish novels. In rewatching Jamie Lee Curtis in this, in H20, her character's trauma seems forced and like unlived. But in the newer Corey universe Halloweens, Laurie Strode actually seems traumatized. Like Curtis had more time to live it, or like more time to bring more to the chaos. I mean, they created a son for Laurie Strode in H20, as opposed to a daughter and a granddaughter in the Corey verse. But the son is a wimp. It's Josh Hartnett, but he's like really hamming it up. He doesn't fit in this one. Laurie Strode also dates a weak-willed school official. I mean, it's fine when that limp dick dies, of course. And I think this is one of Michelle Williams' first movies. And now here's what I actually liked about it. The kid from Jumanji is in the cast. I believe his last name is pronounced Hanbird. It's Adam Hanbird. Remember the kid from Jumanji? Not like the little brother who gets turned into the monkey, but the guy who's playing like the child version of wow. Yeah, the guy who's playing like the kid who gets sucked into the game board and then he grows up. Robin Williams is the grown-up version, and this guy Adam was playing the kid version. Anyway. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he pops up in the beginning and the opening to get killed. I thought his cameo was cool. And then one of the kill methods is actually using that dining freight elevator, which is called a dumbwaiter. I mean, it's been used in at least 10 horror movies. Like movies like Fresh, The Haunting of Hill House, Ready or Not. There's this blogger who calls herself Little Red Horror. And she made, like, Little Red Riding Hood, but Little Red Horror. Because she's got red hair. And she made like a whole list. So if you search for dumbwaiter deaths in horror movies, like I remember, Google that. You'll find her article. There's like a list of movies in there. I remember the hype for this movie coming out, but then when Myers loses his head, I was disappointed. Like, I think you got to leave the door open for another Halloween. That's advisable, even if you just want to keep them scared, like thinking that the boogeyman is still out there forever. And the only other worst death for Michael Myers is in a Thorn universe. Paul Rudd beats him to death. But this is Paul Rudd before he was Ant-Man. I mean, I think it was him like rom-com Paul. And then in rewatching H20, it actually makes the core universe movies better, which is a shame because some of those movies aren't that great. I really like the second one, Halloween Kills, but I don't like the whole trilogy. I mean, I hate to say it, but Rob Zombie deserves some credit for trying to visualize how Michael Myers thinks. And I'm saying that when I'm pretty unhappy with Rob Zombie over his Monsters movie that he made. So I'm giving him credit for a Halloween movie, even though I don't like his version of the Monsters. The Moonsters. I'm not talking about Moonster cheese. Go look it up. There was this sitcom called The Monsters. There were some made-for-TV movies. There was actually a revival. And then he made a movie. Okay. All right. Okay. In closing, I always like to say, you don't got a home. You don't got a home. I hope you do. No, I always say you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's closing time. No, that's a song. Just kidding. I'm not gonna sing the lyrics. Anyway, Summer/7 is gonna continue. We got a classic coming up, The Creeping Flesh. I've never seen that one. That'll be fun. But here's where Summer/viewing becomes torture to the host. We used to make jokes that it was like, oh, we're locked down into a chair with our eyes plied open for an endless stream of horror movies for 12 back-to-back weeks or whatever. And it was supposed to be torture to the host, too, because some of the movies weren't that great. However, we're watching the 7th entries in popular franchises, like I said, because it's Summer/7, so we're going to do number 7s. And what got pulled for next week is a Saw entry. It's Saw 3D, which I guess is the 7th Saw movie, but I hate the Saw movies after the 3rd movie, so then, like, the 7th one is called Saw 3D, which is hilarious. It's just, like, I don't know if that's actual irony, I don't want to call it ironic, but it's the 7th movie, but it's called Saw 3D because they put the movie in 3D, I guess, but that's gonna be, I'm like, I love watching movies, and that's gonna be that's gonna be agony for me to have to sit through Saw 3D. All right. A lot of Saw fans are like, they're probably, they've turned me off now. They're never listening or watching again. But, yeah, okay. We'll have some fun. Come on back. The screams will continue.